So again, three-step approach, three-step framework. This is like the golden framework. Gesture, design, polish, right? So in terms of gesture, whenever I'm drawing the gesture, I'm not thinking about if I'm drawing a hair or fur or eye or the arm. And it's weird, right? You are thinking, you know you are drawing an arm or leg, but you don't think about it. You are not actively trying to make it an arm, right? You use all the internalized anatomy knowledge and all that, but you are focusing on this, right? You are focusing on the rhythm. So same with here, right? Let's put it like this. Same with here. I'm gonna draw a medium size here for this one. First, at first glance, I'm looking at a portrait, and first thing I see, right? Like there's this line. Okay, that's it. I'm not trying to make it solid or anything. It doesn't need to be accurate, right? It doesn't need to be a line you see specifically on the subject. This is not a literal line, right? This is the rhythm line. There is a flow like this, right? This is not literal. Again, some stuff like this, right? Something like this, maybe something like this. Right, so this is the first stage. I do these gestures, and you can even, just keep it really simple, gestural, and make these like this, like invent some shapes and go like that. And second stage is design, right? And this is the shape, and then form, and volume, and shading, all those stuff, right? But this is like designs. By design, I mean this is where you establish harmony, right? This is where you think in terms of, okay, is this line good? Like, it's starting to become literal, right? It wasn't literal in the first stage. Now it starts to become literal. You are thinking in terms of, okay, how could this shape be, right? Like this, like this. Maybe maybe you can create a rhythm, right? For this part. So if the rhythm lines are like this, maybe one of them is like this, and then a cut, and then two goes like this, another cut. Like this is also a rhythm, right? If you would draw this, like this is like a rhythm, right? You can actually play this on an instrument. So yeah, thinking about those stuff, right? Design principles like harmony, continuity, all those stuff. And again, you don't need to go crazy. Just use whatever you have, right? Maybe you practiced continuation. Maybe you practiced Gestalt principles, whatever it is. And yeah, trying to put in some good shapes for start, right? Maybe she has well, I don't know what's this called, side of the hair a bit longer. Something like this. Maybe this is a shape like this, right? And then maybe adding some more rhythm lines and making a rhythm here as well. And then maybe finishing with a cut. Right? This is all music, right? It's like pop, 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 boom. So if you just shut that part of your mind, like I'm trying to draw a figure and is this correct? Does it look like this? Just forget about it, right? Just have fun, man. Just draw some rhythm. dance on the paper, right? When you achieve that, again, this is easier said than done, right? I'm saying this, but I've already practiced this like that, like million times. Uh, I know the frustration when you try to do that. I totally feel, I totally know how it feels, right? Uh, I know I can hear someone saying it's easier for you to say, but that's the idea, right? So forget about trying to make it pretty or accurate. Just forget about all that, right? Just dance, man. And maybe add some, hair strings. So yeah, this is the shape stage, right? Now, once you established some good shapes, right? Let's make it like this. This is covering the face. And yeah, once you are happy with the shapes, right? And then you start thinking about form, right? It's like, uh, if you think about it, shapes represent forms, right? So if this is a circle, this can be a cylinder like this, or it can be a sphere, or it can be the end of a weird tube, right? Whatever it is. But ideally, shapes represent forms. So then you think about hair as blocks of volume, right? So there is this part, right? And again, here it comes down to how much resolution you are gonna put in terms of form, right? You can keep it 2D, and this can be a 2D illustration, like a concept illustration, or you can push it to the point that it's a cartoon. Let's get rid of these so they don't give the wrong idea. This is not a structural drawing. But yeah, you have the shapes, right? If you are going for the ultimate 2D look, you can just go with this, right? You can just paint and again just indicate the shadows like shapes, right? Do something like this. I don't know, but let's say you want to go all the way and also establish the forms. Again, the idea is like not trying to draw every single hair, but think about them as volumes, right? So if I look at this, but this is, to me, this is something like this, right? Comes down like this. But if you put in some construction lines, obviously you don't need to draw this, right? When you are practicing, it's all good, but in in your mind, you can visualize it like this, right? So this is one strand, right? And then on top of it, you can add the shading, right? So if you want to go more detailed, more towards realism, yeah, you can add more strands or pick a hairbrush and just go in. We have this shape, right? So how can this, or what kind of form this would be? But maybe this is like this, right? This goes like this. If you are feeling like you can't put your finger on how the form is turning, the form of the hair is turning, and you feel like you need to constructively have it, this is better. But if you are comfortable with construction, you can also go with more like animator style curves, right? Usually I like to go like this. I put these literal edges even in the curved forms. So that gives me a clear direction, right? So this is a plane looking this side. This is a plane looking this side. And you don't need to render it like this. But this is just to simplify the thinking process, right? When I know, like, this face is looking like this, and this part looking this way, it's so much easier for me to put in the rough shading, right? And then you can make this. Let's imagine light is coming like this. Let's make this part. Again, this is like, there's this edge, right? I'm thinking about there's an edge here, and they all come down here like that. This can be more curved, whatever, but at first I'm trying to think very simple. Like think almost as a box, right? Minimum necessary complexity. I gotta start with this, and then you can subdivide it, right? Maybe it's at a concave part, and this is like a more planar type, and then this is something like this. Maybe this is turning, right? If it's turning like this, light is coming from here. Core shadow would be somewhere here. Yeah, and then, you know, highlight could be somewhere here. But yeah, you know, roughly establishing the volumes. And if you think about the top of the hair, like all hair grows from these parts, right? You can also logically split them in your mind. And then top of the hair, if there was no gravity, it would be like this, right? But then gravity makes it fall down, so it goes like this. But since it has a root on the head, it doesn't go like this, right? Unless it's wet. I mean, it depends on the structure of the hair strings, but yeah, it goes like this because, you know, they rest on top of each other. Goes like this. So you can also split that, right? So make this other part another form. So we don't see it here, but this part is like this form, right? Going down like this. So it is a 3D form like this. So again, you are not drawing these, you are just thinking like that. Right? Again, don't even think about the little details and all that. And let's see. So, and the end part would be like you are just deciding which part is this part, the face that's facing this part, and which part is the back part, right? And again, I want to repeat this over and over again. This is not literally constructing, but of course it's better. The more you nail down the 3D form, the better. But for example, let's say you are drawing this, right? If you think about the importance, like if you see this drawing, you usually look at the eyes first, right? So when someone sees this, they look at eyes first, and then, you know, look at the features, how you drew. And most people won't even look at this part. So it's like a value judgment, right? This also saves time, right? You don't like render a part of the drawing that nobody will see or nobody will look. So usually these unimportant parts, back of the head or some background element, I just roughly indicate the face turning and just leave it in black, right? Maybe you can group the shadows with some other stuff. So you can use this as a compositional choice. Yeah. And then, you know, maybe this part is going like this. Maybe a split coming out of that going down part. And yeah, this is the actual approach I'm going with, right? As the final stage, then in the final stage, then you can go in, like go as crazy as you want, right? Like you want to render all the hair, go ahead. You have the base, you know, you know where everything goes. Like you can just render it. Like take a hairbrush or whatever you want. again, if you want to make a clean drawing, but still, let's say you still want to keep it simple, right? So this is what I do. I only indicate complexity on edges, right? So as I said, the ideas on gesture stage and design stage, they still apply, right? I mean, it's also an artistic choice. You might choose to render everything, but if you want to go with a more stylized look, or you want to tell only what's needed, like you can go with something like this, right? Maybe put a couple of strands here, and then maybe indicate the actual hair, right? Just a couple of strands, right? Right at the edges. And then maybe the places that are splitting. Again, so for example, we are splitting, subdividing here, right? Again, the concept of rhythm still applies, right? You could go like this, but this is like three exact same shapes, right? This is kind of boring. As opposed to you could just do this. Maybe something medium, big, and then it's small, right? This is more appealing. There's this rhythm, right? It's not like boop, boop, boop. Unless that's the intention, but it's when you draw here or when you look at here, it's rarely this symmetrical or this repetitive, predictable rhythm. So yeah, in terms of rendering, I like to just draw the hair where it actually matters, right? Like not drawing all the hair, but again, this is like a full blank area. Yeah, something like this, right? I'm leaving these spaces intentionally blank, so you give the viewer's eye a rest, right? So complexity, rest, complexity, rest, complexity, rest, complexity, uh, medium complexity, rest, complexity, right? You get the idea. There's also rhythm in where you put details. This way, you can also use this to lead the viewer's eye, or at least it's easy to digest visually, right? So yeah, again, this is assuming you want to go stylized, but again, the idea is the same. If you want to go realistic, and then you start rendering the hair, right? Because you have the base, you have the simple forms. You know which face, yeah, which direction every face looks. Yeah, this is not only stylized, but like this, making this simple, you are kind of releasing mental bandwidth. When you are rendering, you don't need to think about all this because you laid it out. You can apply this concept to everything, right? If it's a short hair, like a dude's hair, again, I'm thinking about it as this 3D form, right? When I'm in the design stage. Whatever it is. If it's a really long hair, then again, thinking about it as this block of volume. Yeah, ideally you do all these things I talked about in your head, right? But if you're having a hard time, you know, don't be shy to put in some construction lines. Just whatever you need to do to nail it down, right?